All right. Lastly, here again with NVIDIA, talking with Colin at ArenaNet about Guild Wars 2. So, you know, I've seen just the extreme fan base, very, very loyal fans that you have that, you know, would at PAX sit patiently for 40 minutes or they'd play 40 minutes at a time, sit for hours at a time, waiting for their 40 minutes, and then thoroughly enjoying it and walking off the happiest people I have seen. So what are people seeing that are coming in and experiencing Guild Wars 2 that are your fans as opposed to the previous version?
Well, I think the difference between Guild Wars 1 and what we've done with Guild Wars 2 is really the difference between, you know, traditional MMOs and where MMOs are headed in the future. Guild Wars 2 tries to innovate in every area that we think the MMO genre is lacking. We think that combat in traditional MMOs has been very stale, very static. It's a lot of standing still using skills, and we've built a combat system that has a lot of movement, a lot of action-oriented stuff in it. It takes cues from a lot of the best action-based games that you've ever played and puts that all into this MMO atmosphere, you know, with millions of people playing all at the same time against each other. And with each other. You know, we've taken story elements that traditionally MMOs have been very weak in. You know, they're called MMORPGs, and the RPG element has been very lacking in MMOs. And we've built a really robust, dynamic, personal story for your character. So when you create your character, you actually fill out a biography and say, who is my character in this world? And based on the questions that you answer in that biography, that actually determines the storyline you experience when you play through the game. So right off the bat, at level 1, there are actually 15 different storylines you could be experiencing from the very beginning of the game, which is, you know, on par or more than anything you're going to find in any RPG out there, and that's inside of an MMO. And that kind of RPG storytelling has to be there for us to innovate this genre. People can't look at RPGs and MMORPGs as different things. They need to be, I play RPGs, and an MMO is just one version of an RPG that millions of people are playing together at the same time. And so we're trying to innovate in that area, and we're trying to make MMOs have great stories. The last thing we want to do is, we've got millions of people playing together at the same time. We need to have the type of content that encourages them and rewards them to actually play together. And so we built our dynamic event system to do that. The idea with this is that it creates a dynamic, living, breathing world. So every time you log into the game, there's actually different content going on. And there's these different events that are actually changing the world and changing it for everyone, so everyone can get involved in the content. They can all play the events together, and the outcome of the events actually affect the outcome of what's happening in the world because of the things the players did. And so it creates a sense of, hey, all these people are coming together, they're playing in the same game space, and the things they're doing actually matter, and they change the world for all the players that are there.
That's awesome. So, I know that there's at least one new class that's been introduced in the game that people are playing at, you know, at PAX, and people have been able to access the game. What can you tell us about what this new class brings in?
Yeah, so the most recent profession that we've announced is the engineer, and the engineer is kind of the master of mechanics. They have kits that they can equip, so they swap out all their skills when they equip a kit. So they may be running around with a rifle, and then they'll turn on their flamethrower kit, and suddenly they have skills where they can shoot flames and curl up little balls of flames that explode and make walls of flames in the area. They can swap to a grenade kit, and they can throw freeze grenades and concussion grenades and fire grenades, and then they can swap over and they can do a mine kit and lay down mines everywhere that they can explode. They're the masters of various technologies, so they have little elixirs they can drink that give them different benefits. They can have rocket boots, so they shoot up in the air and knock everyone down that's around them. They have guns and pistols that are filled with a lot of different technology, and they have turrets so they can place down in the world. So they can put gun turrets down that turn and fire at people, or thumper turrets that sit on the ground and do AoE constantly in an area. And the idea behind the engineer is that you have a lot of gadgets, you have a lot of different tools that you can play with, and you can really control a part of the battlefield. You can put a turret down and move around it. You can put down mines and defend an area. They're definitely a lot about movement and control in a confined area of the battlefield, and they work really well with other players because of that, and can combo well with other players.
Very cool. That sounds like a vast combination of ways to attack and be on the offensive and the defensive in battle. So.
Definitely, yeah. It's like you get to be James Bond with all these little trinkets that you have available to you that Q made for you, you know, and you're just picking constantly which one you want to try out next. So,
sounds like a lot of fun. Are there any other tactical advantages or skills that players have access to that are different from what they've experienced in the past with Guild Wars?
Yeah, there's tons. When it comes to for Guild Wars 2, just the sheer amount of movement and tactics that come with that. We're showing PvP for the first time here this weekend at GamesCom, and we have our competitive PvP being played right now down on the show floor at the ESL booth. And one of the things that we've seen from that is just how important movement is. People will walk up and they'll play Guild Wars 2, and they start playing it like a traditional MMO where they stand still, and they start using skills. And they just get obliterated. And you watch people play, and for 5 minutes they stand still, and then 10, 15, 20 minutes later, they're moving around and they're actively playing and they're dodging attacks and they're using skills from a distance and they're getting positioning and they're getting up above people. And suddenly, it becomes this whole action-oriented game, and it becomes really exciting and really immersive, and you feel like the things you're doing actually matter, and the movement you make and the decisions you make really matter in the battles that you're doing. And it's really cool to see that. I would say that is, above all else, the biggest tactic that comes into play is just the sheer amount of movement that's available versus your traditional MMO that really has no movement in combat.
So I know there's a vast visual difference also between Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2. What do you think in terms of hardware for people who are getting ready to play Guild Wars 2? What should they be playing on, or to turn everything on and really experience the game?
Well, we haven't finalized the system specs required yet for Guild Wars 2. I will say that one of the upsides of our development process is we actually develop on a lot of older hardware first, to make sure that the game will actually run for people at home on older hardware, so that they can run the game and still be able to play it. Now, to run it at full system specs and to have it in all its glory and all its beauty, you definitely are going to want to have something a little newer, something more recent. We love all the stuff that NVIDIA does, and they make fantastic products, and that's an area that people should be looking at for the kind of hardware that they should be working with on their machines.
One of the things that also impressed me in your development time is that I've seen for months that it works great in 3D vision. That that at PAX, when people were playing it for 40 minutes, it was completely in 3D the whole time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We actually we had a programmer who is devoted full time to developing the game towards the 3D systems, and we think the 3D setup is a pretty awesome way to play Guild Wars 2. We have a lot of huge boss battles that are these giant bosses, and when you get them on that 3D screen and they look like they're just coming right for you, it is really fantastic. We've watched people play it and they kind of go like this, and they're just like, whoa, and they run out of room to back up. And we have when we get those 3D demos out and we take them to shows like at Penny Arcade Expo, there are lines around the corner for people to come up and play this and just see it in 3D. People absolutely go bananas over it in 3D, and I think that'd be a great thing for people to take a look at as another way to play the game.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
And thank you for watching this video. Continue to check GeForce.com for more Gamescom updates. Thank you.